this is a different view. Uh, um, all right, it's so much. It's so hard to even know where to start. So I'll just try to keep it as close to what I said earlier. 3 months ago in my life, I was living out of self-will. I was destroying everything that I had, everything that was given to me. I tore down my mother. I hurt all the people that, wanted good for me and wanted a better life for me. And, I had addictions, court things, just everything hanging over my head. And I didn't know what to do. I had nowhere else to turn. I was operating out of fear and running from everything. And God knew more than what I knew. So I kept trying to come up with these plans to fix everything or to alleviate this worry or fear. And I lost my home, and I was supposed to go to my girlfriend's house and stay there with her mother, but God knew that he had something better in store for me. And with that being said, I happened to land at my mother's home, who was gracious enough to allow me in again. That in itself is a large and profound blessing. Not that me and her hate each other. In fact, we love each other very much. But we have a relationship where she knew that with God being on her side, that I just needed to be humbled. And God allowed me to break myself down and be humbled. And, it was of my own accord, but it was through his will. And by landing at my mother's home, I was able to get back to my church and to my church family. I got into AA programs, and I started focusing on my problems, my internal, not blaming it on everyone else. And the moment I started doing that, things began to change, and I stopped operating out of my own will. I just started relinquishing things, and when I worried about them, I prayed. And he has had so much more in store for me than I could have ever thought. A month ago, I couldn't have seen any of the blessings that I got because I was too narrow-minded. I was deluded by the flesh. And but his will is providing for me today anything I could have needed. And just by being at my mom's house, I've been able to get reconnected with my church family. I'm able to come here and do the right thing today. And everything that I wanted, everything that everything that I needed, God has provided for me. I didn't know where I was going to go. I landed here, and I had one job opportunity after another. Once I started doing the right thing, that just started falling in my lap. And as those became weak, or there was no mortar to this, or no sand to the mortar, there was no structure to it, and as they fell apart, God just re-provided again. And just in this short amount of time, I've had 3 different job opportunities, and I've started to try to save some money. And I applied for this home, and I didn't know what I was going to do, and God is just, I don't know, I'm just so overwhelmed with everything. But God has really provided, and operating out of the fear that I had, I prayed, and I went to my mom, and I went to my church, and I got a response from the landlord, and it stated, first he was worried about my record. As I mentioned, I had court stuff and addictions that were before me, and as I got that stuff behind me, the next text from him was like, well, I want to rent to anyone that doesn't have a steady income. And I happened to be at work with my boss, and my boss is also in recovery, and immediately he said, well, what's his number? Give it to me. And he texted them, gave him his information, said that I have a full-time job, that I'm a good worker, I 1099 at the end of the year. And then I hadn't heard from him in a few days, and I began to get scared again. And instead of getting scared, I approached Pastor this morning, and I asked him if we could just pray on that, if I could put it on the list. And no sooner than I left, I got a text from that landlord. I have my home. I got a place to go. And that's all because of God. The only part I played in it was the smallest part, and it was giving my will to him. And I just want to thank him. And with that, I'm done.